My name's Peter Lewy, and this is a song that I wrote. It's called Some Other Way.
All right, Peter Lewy.
I woke up and found you lying. I wonder, did you fall from heaven? There's no hole in the ceiling, no glass on the floor. It must have been some other way that you came in. Must have been some other way you came into my life. How did you find me? Yeah, how did you know?
Well, hello to our worldwide audience of art enthusiasts. It's your half-assed reporter, James Kalm, and we are here on the Lower East Side. On an early Sunday morning, normally I'd be lounging in the studio, drinking my second or third cup of coffee and contemplating what I was going to do for the day. But we're going to run up to the Nathlie Karg Gallery and see a show.
Must have been some other way you came into.
And there she is.
You're the only one. It's your secret. Take it to the grave.
Well, I've talked Nathlie Provosty. Tell me the pronunciation.
Nathlie Provosty.
Nathlie Provosty, to give us a little tour. And, well, I've known Nathlie for a while, and we're going to start out looking at this little painting. So tell us about the show.
Well, the show...
It's titled Third Ear.
It's subtitled The Third Ear.
Okay.
So it is untitled, but
all right.
The subtitle is kind of like a floating thought.
The reason I like this piece is that this one happens to be maybe the most colorful piece in the show. And this is what, about 20 by 16 inches, something like that?
Very close, 19 by 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, well, let's drift down the wall. One of the things I noticed that in a lot of these pieces, you've kind of divided your canvases up into quadrants. You've kind of cut them into 4 squares and kind of maybe twisted them a little bit. And also, I think the other interesting factor is you've got kind of this letter form in the middle. And these are all oil paintings?
Yes.
Okay. And how long have you been working on this particular group of paintings?
They're all 2016, except
Okay.
for one of the large ones. Actually, that one over there, Dissonance, is the earliest, and all of these were structurally based on that one. But this curvy shape has been around for a couple of years. And yeah, it sort of alludes to a lot of different possible meanings, which is part of why I like it.
Okay, let's keep moving down the wall here. Okay, now this one, again, I think in a certain way kind of goes along more with the larger pieces that we're going to get to later, because you've reduced your palette down to black and white. But I think one of the things I want to draw the viewer's attention to is the way that you're using your mattes and your shiny blacks. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah,
I think that's kind of an important feature.
Yeah, I think of them as, I mean, even though they're paintings, I think of them as moving images, and in that
Really?
way, much more related to film or sculpture.
Huh.
And also the shiny parts are mixed to resonate with the matte parts, meaning they're a completely different color. And
Even though they appear to be black, you got some very subtle tonal shades there.
yeah, there's sort of blue grays and red purples and, sort of.
All right, let's keep moving on down the line here.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, you've got kind of a group of pieces that are more highly colored, and then you've got the more subdued towards the black. And well, I like the way that you're kind of playing off these very subtle tonal shades, but you know, you're getting a lot of mileage out of them. Let's keep going. You know, one of the things that I always like to ask painters is, who do you look at? Who has influenced you? Who do you think about when you're working? Who's been an inspiration for you?
Well, I think of living artists, Bruce Nauman is maybe my biggest influence. Yeah. Uh-huh. Well, because the way he combines images
and
words,
text, and
yeah, but they're thought images or verbal forms or kind of spatial hiccups and things like that. So he's a big one. And also Spanish 17th century painters like El Greco.
Oh, Velázquez, does he fit in there somewhere?
Velázquez, well, the Velázquez self-portrait at the Met, I go and visit it because he's actually in there. But
this is a beautiful piece, but goes into the all blue side of things. Actually, I was wondering, and of course when we get to the larger pieces, I'm going to talk about this maybe a little more. How about Ad Reinhardt? Kind of the monochromes and especially the black pieces.
yeah, I inevitably have to deal with Ad Reinhardt.
Everybody does.
Yeah, and he kind of owns darks, so I'm attempting to pull them into other, a different kind of ownership or relationship to visuality.
How about you're splitting your canvases here in the four sections? Is there some kind of a mathematical or geometric reason that you're doing that, or?
It has more to do with a combination. The first quartered canvas I did was called Drawn and Quartered. It was a piece from 2012, and it was kind of like a pun on a black humor pun.
Sure.
But it also combined Standing Man and Reclining Man, which is an allegory of living and death.
Let's come down and look at this group of paintings. Now, this is actually what got my taste buds tingling, was seeing this group of 3 large black paintings. And, well, we'll go down here and start on this one. I've known you for a while. I saw your other show. I guess this has been about 2 years ago, right?
4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
Most of the work was, am I wrong? Most of the work was smaller scale. A lot of it was work on paper.
Right, yes.
And, well, when I saw these pieces, I thought to myself, Nathlie is really, she's rising to the challenge and really making work that is going to be basically pushing all of the major New York painters and sort of taking the challenge of being part of that kind of tough but very ambitious group of people working. You want to talk a little bit maybe about that? Do you see this as kind of maybe a maturity, a statement of sort of, hey, I'm here in the New York scene and open your eyes, see what I'm doing?
Certainly. I mean, I imagine anyone wants to challenge the status quo, and of course, to decipher the status quo is a challenge.
Yes, to get through all the codes and the various social groups. One of the other things I was noticing I want to point out is you've got a lot of these little, I don't know what you call it, tweaks, little niches, little things that if you don't stop and sort of take time, almost like little hidden images, or I guess what I'd call them little painterly incidences that really make these paintings personal, because if you look at them quickly, they just look like large black paintings. But then when you start to linger and notice things. You see a lot of stuff going on. Tell us more about your forms. You've got these large letter forms, kind of a V or a U. Is there some special reference with that, or you just like it as a graphic form?
Yeah, many references. All the forms in the mat part are kind of like, they're thought forms or sort of.
Okay.
And they have to do with an attempted androgyny. And so many of the forms have repetitions of 2s or 3s. Or
An attempted androgyny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Attempt meaning making visible the fact of kind of continuous, like seamless androgyny. And not just in terms of people, but also objects and space, androgynous space.
And again, these are not just black paintings, there's a lot of blues, violets, various grays. You want to tell me a little bit about your secret process here? So in the sections that are more glossy, are you using some kind of special medium or stand oil that makes that shine?
Yes, it's all proportions.
So you're not going to give us your secret recipes, right?
Well, if
You don't have to.
It's unscientific. It's felt.
Ah, okay.
And gravity is another big factor about the forms.
So in certain ways, you're just dealing with a kind of an alchemical approach to things and poetic approach to things, and
certainly an irrational.
I like that. Irrational. The other thing I wanted to talk to you a little bit about is that you've also written art criticism, and for the Brooklyn Rail. Mm-hmm. How do you think art criticism has sort of filled into your practice of painting?
Well, I've actually only done interviews. I've never written a critique of anyone else's show, but that's been. I guess the one piece I wrote about was the Poussin, the abduction of the Sabine women.
At the Met.
Which wasn't really critique, it was more like a verbal, like a pun of the punning. Like it was kind of trying to create a replica of the piece in words. But with the interviews, it's been tremendous because it's allowed me to sort of put down thoughts explicit to. Mick Tausig was the most recent one, and then the first interview I ever did was with Ron Gorchov, who I love and admire.
Yes, we love Ron.
And he asked me to interview him because he was asked to give a talk and he didn't feel like working, so he said, just interview me publicly, and that was really fun. We started out with swimming because his paint is so wet and slippery, and he used to be a lifeguard. So we went from swimming, and it was a watercolor show, so we went from swimming like into the handling of his paint in his life. Yeah. So I've been grateful to have those opportunities to talk with other. Would
you think that has helped sharpen your ideas and maybe give you a better target to shoot at with the paintings, kind of the ambition that these people are talking about, or some of the ideas that they're expressing?
I think the pure exposure to these people that I've had the privilege of being with in New York has been tremendous. Unmatchable.
We're going to wrap up looking at this piece. Do any of these large pieces have titles, or?
Oh yes, so this is twice 6. This is actually, even though everything's 2016 except for Giles in the middle, this one is the most recent, and it's a thick weave, and so I decided to really keep the paint more open and more of the colors, because there's a lot of show through color, but more of the colors visible on top. But this one came, the titles almost always come afterward or near the end, and it has to do with likeness, because they're sort of like people, and each one has its own, even though they are familial, they have their own appearance. And so this one, I was thinking about sounding. The show, going back to the third year, has to do with sounding. It has to do with, the sensations, the sort of hardly traceable or barely traceable sensations. And so sounding is, measuring depth in water. And
yes.
So I thought, and I've been reading, Mark Twain,
Absolutely.
Great Wit, And he, as probably most people know, or many people know, that's a pseudonym that he found when he was on a boat of the Mississippi.
Right, if the water was deep enough, it was Mark Twain, I guess.
Well, Mark Twain was 2 fathoms, which is 2 to 6 feet depths, because a fathom is 6 feet. So, and this, I thought, well, this is like a Twain. I mean, there's all these 2s and 3s, but I thought I don't want to call it Mark Twain because it's too explicit. So I called it Twice 6.
Okay. Well, congratulations, Nathlie Provosty, here at the Nathlie Karg Gallery on Grand Street. Show's open until the middle of May? May 8th. Thanks for taking some time out of your Sunday morning to come in and chat with us. That was wonderful. And I'm glad to see you've taken the challenge, and you're pushing the New York painting world that they're going to pay attention. Thanks, Nathlie. And as always, thank you, Kate.
Very nice.
Oh, the great Peter Lewy. Thanks, Peter.